the heart of America, an unmistakable tension lingered in the atmosphere, a tension that had simmered for years, fueled by a complex web of emotions and pivotal events. The streets, once alive with the ordinary rhythms of daily life, now reverberated with the unified chants of protesters, their voices rising in defiance against a backdrop of collective discontent. This unrest was not born in isolation. It stemmed from deeply rooted and multifaceted issues, intricately tied to the rise of a man whose rallying cry to "Make America Great Again" had reshaped the nation's narrative. Donald Trump's unexpected ascent to the presidency in 2016 signaled a watershed moment, setting into motion a chain of events that would culminate in widespread demonstrations and a nation grappling with its identity. Trump's campaign resonated with many Americans who felt left behind by globalization, technological advancements, and political elitism. His promises were clear: job creation, stricter immigration policies, and a return to traditional values. For some, he embodied a beacon of hope, a figure who would challenge the status quo and restore a sense of pride in being American. His supporters envisioned a revitalized economy, a crackdown on illegal immigration, and a political landscape that favored the average citizen over the bureaucratic elite. This vision was intoxicating, drawing in those who yearned for change and a return to what they perceived as a more prosperous and secure America. However, the reality of Trump's administration proved to be far more complicated. While the economy saw fluctuations, with some sectors experiencing growth, many Americans remained skeptical. The promised job creation often felt like a mirage, as industries adapted to automation and globalization continued to reshape the workforce. The working-class Americans who had placed their faith in Trump's promises began to feel the sting of disappointment. The rhetoric that had once inspired them morphed into a sense of betrayal as they grappled with stagnant wages and a lack of opportunities. The administration's immigration policies became a flashpoint of contention, creating deep divisions across the nation. Measures designed to curb immigration, such as the controversial travel bans and family separations at the border, sparked intense debates and widespread protests. For immigrant communities, these policies were more than political actions. They represented existential threats to their safety, stability, and aspirations. Families were torn apart, dreams were dismantled, and the persistent fear of deportation cast a shadow over countless lives. The emotional impact was devastating, as many grappled with the uncertainty of their future in a country they had come to see as home. The protests that erupted in response transcended mere opposition to policy. They were powerful demonstrations of solidarity, resilience, and the universal demand for dignity and justice. As the years progressed, the divisions within American society became increasingly pronounced. The political landscape polarized, with social media amplifying voices on both sides of the spectrum. The rise of movements such as Black Lives Matter and the Women's March reflected a growing awareness of systemic injustices and a demand for change. These movements, fueled by the urgency of the moment, called attention to issues that had long been ignored. They highlighted the struggles of marginalized communities, seeking to dismantle entrenched inequalities and advocate for a more inclusive society. The younger generations in particular felt the weight of their future hanging in the balance. They had grown up amidst economic uncertainty, climate change, and social upheaval, and many were disillusioned by the political process. The promise of a better tomorrow seemed increasingly out of reach, and they found themselves thrust into the role of activists, determined to fight for their rights and the rights of others. Their protests were not just about the present. They were about the legacy they wished to leave for future generations. They marched for climate justice, racial equality, and the protection of democratic values, believing that their voices could affect real change. The contrasting views surrounding Trump's leadership were stark. For his supporters, he remained a champion of the forgotten American, a disruptor who bravely challenged the political establishment. They celebrated his achievements, from tax cuts to judicial appointments, viewing him as a necessary force for good in a corrupt system. Yet for many others, he represented a departure from the values that had long defined the nation, values of inclusivity, empathy, and respect for all individuals. The rhetoric of division, the attacks on the media, and the undermining of democratic norms created a sense of unease that rippled through society. As protests erupted across cities, the motivations behind them were as diverse as the people participating. Some were driven by personal experiences of injustice. Others were inspired by a collective desire for change. The protests became a crucible for hope and frustration, a space where individuals could voice their grievances and demand accountability. The sight of people from different backgrounds standing together, united by a common cause, was both powerful and poignant. It illustrated the potential for solidarity in a fractured society, even as the challenges ahead seemed daunting. The broader implications of these protests for American society were profound. They signified a turning point, a moment when citizens refused to remain silent in the face of perceived injustices. The protests served as a reminder that democracy is not a passive endeavor, but an active struggle for rights and recognition. They highlighted the importance of civic engagement and the need for individuals to hold their leaders accountable. In a country built on the ideals of freedom and equality, the protests became a testament to the enduring power of the people's voice. As the nation grappled with these issues, the question of what the future holds loomed large. The trajectory of American society was uncertain, shaped by the competing visions of what it means to be a citizen in a democracy. The protests had the potential to catalyze change, to push for reforms that addressed the root causes of discontent. Yet they also risked deepening divisions if dialogue and understanding were not prioritized. The challenge lay in bridging the gaps, fostering conversations that transcended partisan lines, and finding common ground amidst the chaos. Following the protests, it became evident that America's journey was still unfolding, with much work remaining to achieve its ideals. The path forward would demand unwavering resilience, profound empathy, and an unyielding dedication to justice. The voices of the demonstrators, spanning generations, backgrounds, and experiences, served as a powerful reminder of the nation's core principles and aspirations. They issued a call for accountability, urging a collective reflection on the evolving meaning of being American in a world marked by constant change. As the nation stood at this crossroads, the legacy of Trump's presidency would continue to influence the discourse. His impact on the political landscape would be felt for years to come, shaping the aspirations and fears of a generation. The promise to make America great again had ignited a fire, but it was up to the people to determine what greatness truly meant. Would it be a return to an idealized past, or could it be a vision of inclusivity, progress, and justice for all? The answer lay in the hands of those who dared to dream of a better future, who took to the streets not just to protest, but to envision a new America, one that embraced its diversity, upheld its democratic ideals, and recognized the humanity in every individual. The protests transcended mere opposition to specific policies, embodying a profound aspiration for a society where every voice matters, justice reigns, and the American dream becomes a shared reality for all. They were more than moments of dissent. They were a testament to the enduring spirit of hope and resilience, a collective belief that transformation is not only necessary but achievable. Though the journey was riddled with obstacles and setbacks, it was propelled forward by the unwavering courage of citizens who dared to stand, speak, and fight for the foundational values of the nation. Each protest carved out a step toward a more equitable and inclusive future, reminding us that progress is forged through determination and unity, one action at a time.